Hi, my name is Rafael Epstein from the Age newspaper, and this is Raj Patel. He's written a new book, The Value of Nothing. Raj, The Value of Nothing, what does it mean? Why the title?
It comes from the Oscar Wilde quote that nowadays people know the price of everything and the value of nothing. And that's sort of the mess that we find ourselves in. Although Australia claims that it was unaffected by the global financial crisis, in many ways Australia certainly is in a situation at the moment where certain things are underpriced, certain things are overpriced, and prices are a pretty bad indicator of the real underlying value of things. And so what I'm trying to ask in the book is how is it that the way we value the world through markets works and fails, and what might we replace it with?
Isn't one of the problems that because other things are left up to ideological clashes and political clashes, all we are left with is the price of things as the only method that we can all agree on to determine their value?
Well, that's the interesting thing. Prices are profoundly ideological. You make a choice about including, for example, women's labour in the price of something or not. I mean, as I show in the book, 50% of the world's total product is unpaid women's labour. That's not an accident. That's the way the system works. And that's a very political choice. And one of the problems with prices is they seem to float apolitically as if they're sort of something arrived at by science, whereas in fact they're really arrived at by a great deal of very bloody politics.
Many of the arguments in the book seem to me to rely on an argument that if only people could look at prices in another way, they might make different choices.
Yeah.
One way to critique that argument is to say, well, that's just another version of the Marxian theory of like false consciousness, that people don't really know what it is that they want. And that's a theory that a lot of people have discredited. Do you think that's a weakness when it comes to trying to work out what the value is embedded in a price?
Well, I mean, I don't think that there's a false consciousness argument there. I mean, I think when you confront people with the real cost of, say, a hamburger, and I talk in the book about if you include the full environmental cost of a burger, then a price of a burger could be up to $200. Now, that's not a false consciousness argument. It's not an argument about people not, being foolish in demanding environmental destruction. It's that actually it is actively hidden from them. And one of the ways that the price system lets us down is that it pretends to actually lay the full resource, the full cost of resources into a price. Whereas, in fact, what we've managed to do, particularly in rich countries, is we've managed to offshore the pollution. We've managed to squeeze away the true costs of the way that we consume. There was a study last year showing that if we had to pay the full cost of the way that we consume, then we would owe developing countries $5 trillion for the way that we've consumed over the past 40 years. And that's not a false consciousness argument. That's the price mechanism actively obscuring and offshoring and putting on other people's shoulders the way that we live today. Consciousness has nothing to do with it.
So if you were president of the world for a day, what two things would you change?
One of the things, I mean, I certainly think that a citizen's wage is a brilliant idea, because all of a sudden it starts getting at things like valuing care work, valuing the unpaid labour of looking after communities, raising children. That's usually women's work. And if you're interested in targeting poverty, then that's a brilliant way to go. But the second thing is, I think that we need to make our ecological and our political footprints match up. At the moment, particularly in rich countries, rich people get to consume, in the United States we consume 9 planets worth of resources every year. We don't have 9 planets. And if the entire world were to consume as much as the United States, we'd run out of the world very quickly. I think there are ways already that we're seeing, say in America, where cities are starting to shrink their ecological footprint. And in some sense, if I was president of the world, I'd encourage that. I wouldn't impose anything on anyone. But because I'm keen for us to actually get this process, get there together, rather than through a dictatorship. So the second thing I'd probably do is abolish being president of the world.
Yeah, okay. Right, thank you.
Cheers.